And welcome back to the shop. This is a 2020 YZ250F. Check this out. Won't start. But let's dig in and diagnose this no starting issue. It's going to be pretty much the same steps for the YZ250F from 2019 to 2023. They're pretty much the same bikes in them years. I did hear it pop a little bit as I was hitting the start button. So, you know, I'm going to guess we at least have spark. So it could be a valve adjustment. Maybe it needs the valves adjusted. Could be a bad spark plug. Could be a fuel pump going out. I don't know. We're going to dig in and find out. But if you'd like to make a guess down in the comments before you watch the rest of the video, tell me what you think it might be. And then let's dig in and let's see if we can figure out what it is. I'm going to take my guess personally. I'm going to say it is, I'm just going to guess spark plug, okay? I'm also kind of leaning towards the valves being out of adjustment. But I'm going to guess the spark plug. I could totally be wrong. Let's dig in and find out. First thing I want to do is get the seat off of there and get on the battery charger. That way the battery's fully charged, because we're probably going to be doing multiple test fires. I just want to make sure the battery stays up to charge. Let me do that. Okay, I have it on the battery charger. Let me go ahead and pull the tank up. I think I'm going to start by checking the fuel pressure. Okay, remove that bolt and these two bolts. I'm going to try to slip it right between the radiator shrouds here. There we go. Okay, let me disconnect the fuel line. Got to slide that little, let me see if you can see that on camera here. Yes, you can. Slide this little cap up, and then there's two tabs here you can press with your fingers to pull it off, or you can use one of these tools right here. I think they call this the fuel line pliers. I'm just going to use this since I have it here. Save my fingers. Well, that sucker's on there. Let me make sure I got it up good. There we go. Let me set it back down here and go get my fuel pressure gauge. Okay, the fuel pressure gauge is on there. Let me set the tank up. There's not that much gas in here, so I'm going to set it up like this so the gas will be on top of the fuel pump. There's the gauge. Can you see it on camera here? Let's see. No, you can't. Let me try to get you on camera. Alright, now you can see it. Well, let's try. Well, that's definitely low on fuel pressure. It's only getting up to about 30 and it drops quick. I'm going to say we have definitely a fuel pump issue on this bike. Could have more than just that, but as of right now, we definitely have a fuel pump issue. It should get up to about 50 psi, give or take some. You know, I've seen them as low as like 45, 46, and as high as like 54, 55, but it should be around 50 psi, and it should hold pressure when you let go of that start button. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and remove the tank altogether. Oh boy, they have that thing on there good. Hold on. Okay, I got it off. Sorry, pause the camera so you can hear all the cuss words. Okay, if it really is just a fuel pump issue, and we know that's one of the issues, but it could be more than just that, right? Who knows? So what I'm going to do, I pulled this little bracket that holds the spark plug on. I'm going to pull that spark plug out, put a little bit of gas in the spark plug hole, and let's see if we can at least get her to bark off. Alright, I'm going to pull the spark plug cap off right here. Just move that so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, that's a 14 millimeter. Let me pull that spark plug out. Huh. Spark plug was not even tight. I know they mentioned they already had it at a dealership or some other motorcycle shop. And it looks like they have been up in here. There's a spark plug. Okay. Just out of curiosity. This doesn't mean the spark plug's good, but this will let us know that the stator's good. I'm going to plug the spark plug in, ground it on the frame right there. Let's see if we can see some sparkage. Oh yeah, she's sparking good. So we know the stator's good. Doesn't mean the spark plug's good. I've seen it where they spark good right here when you test them, but you put them in the bike and the bike doesn't run. Under load, under compression load, they'll they'll foul out in here. I've seen it before. Put a new spark plug in, they start right up. But I'm going to assume this one's good for now. And I'm going to drop some gas directly into the hole the spark plug goes into. Here you go. I'm going to put about that much gas in there. Have this nice little rubber hose to help feed it in there. Alright. Put the spark plug back in. Now this time when I go to start it, I'm going to have to give it some throttle because we poured raw fuel in there. And so it's going to kind of, it'll start rich, right? So you have to give it a little bit of throttle when you pour gas directly into the cylinder like this. What I'm testing here is that it's just a fuel issue. That is weird. I have the right size socket. Let me pop that back out real quick, see what's going on. Well, check this out. The spark plug broke the threads. And you saw when I was torquing it down, I never put any real torque on it, and it broke right off. Now we have to extract that. This is going to be fun. So I know the fuel pump is reading low, but at 30 psi, sometimes you can still at least get them to start up. Yeah, they might run bad, they might pop and stuff, but they'll start up. So I'm starting to think we got two problems going on here. We have a bad spark plug with it. The way it broke so easily like that, that was probably already cracked and acting up. I'm gonna pull this shroud off right here, give you guys a little bit of a better view as we're working on it. Let me take that off. Okay, so here's what we're dealing with. It broke the threads off in there, right? This right here is from a previous bike that the same thing happened. I'm just showing you how I extract it. You'll see I'm using this tool right here, and I beat it into the spark plug, what's left, the threaded part, and then it'll allow us just to twist this right on out of the motor. But this thing's stuck in here now. Let me knock it out, and we'll do that. Okay, I got it out of there. Let me see if I can get the size on camera in case you have to figure this out at home too. Where is it? There it is. Focus. Looks like a... There it is. Looks like a DR/V8. I picked this tool up from one of these kits he thought. But yeah, I got this from Harbor Freight. It's one of your security type stuff for, like, you know, your special like throttle position sensors and stuff like that. So that's where I got that from. But let's try it out. Let's go ahead and knock it in there. Alright, so I'll take this tool, slide it on here, put it on an extension, and just tap it in on top of the spark plug, or the threaded part of the spark plug. Voila, there it is. No fuss, no fight. Came right out. That's awesome. Okay, let me grab a new spark plug. Okie dokie. Drop the plug in. Try this again. Hopefully that gas that I put in there hasn't dried up yet. Hopefully we'll get a bark out of it. Yep. All right, here we go. Nothing. Okay, I pulled the spark plug back out, put more fuel in it. Let's give it another shot here. Okay, so we know we had a bad fuel. We have a fuel pump that's going bad. We also know we had a bad spark plug. This bike has multiple problems. If it truly was at a dealership or another mechanic, like they told me, probably why they couldn't figure it out. When you start getting multiple problems like this, they can be really tough. Actually, let me leave that in for now. Oh no, let me pull that out. We're gonna check the compression. That's gonna give me an idea if it just has no compression, or you know, maybe the valves just need to be adjusted. Let's see. Okay, let me get my compression tester. Alright, let's go ahead and put this in. What could have happened is maybe it stopped working. I'm just guessing here. It stopped running on someone because of a compression issue or something. They let it sit too long. Fuel pump went out. They took it to a shop to try to get it fixed. They pulled the spark plug out and put it back in or whatever. Maybe put it too tight or something and cracked the plug. Who knows? The chain of events is what I'm trying to say. Okay, I'm going to leave that right there. I got to hold it full throttle while I hit the start button. Let's see what type of compression it produces. Absolutely nothing. That's what it's producing. Let me pop that lever out. We'll try a different one. Okay, let me go ahead and try a different compression tester just in case. Alright, going to pull out the old school one here. Is it threading in? Oh, we got that other part still in there. Okay, I got that adapter out. Let me stick this one in. We're going to go back to the old trusty analog compression tester. Now, with auto decompressions that these have on the exhaust cam, I don't expect to get 150 psi or 200 psi because they bleed off compression. The auto decompression does during startup. But I found as long as we got about 90, they'll start. So let's see. Full throttle. Hit the button. Well, I saw it creep up a little bit. I'm sure you did there too. Watch this. You see where it's at? I'll hit the button. That's all it went up. So this bike has like no compression. Is it just a valve adjustment or is the top end out? That's the next question. So let me pull the valve cover off and see what we got going on. Okay, let's try popping that valve cover off and check the valve clearance. Let's see if that's our issue. If that's why she has no compression or low compression. Great. Don't really remember if I can get this valve cover off without pulling the air intake off, but we're gonna see. I gotta take the vent hose off the valve cover here. I mean, it looks like a pretty small valve cover. We should be able to slip it through here one way or another. There it is. Good deal. Okay. Looks like the intake cams are on the base circle right now, or the valves are on the base circle of the intake cam. Let me see if I can stick a point or a 2/1000 in there. No, I can't on that one, the left one, and I can't on the right one either. Let me see if I can stick it in the exhaust. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Most likely this is going to need a valve adjustment on the intake side there. Now here's the thing. When they're this far out of whack where okay, here you go. When they're this far out of whack where they need an adjustment to be able to start up again, it is usually because it has worn past the coating right here in the valve. These titanium valves have a coating on them. That's why they have that brown color that they have. And once it wears past that coating, it will erode into the valve quickly. You can adjust it, yes. and it will start up and it'll run. But within 2, 3, 4 weeks, it'll be out of adjustment again, and you'll have to adjust it again because the coating's worn off. So now every time the valve closes, it is eroding the surface right here, and the valve will start sitting deeper and deeper until it just can't seal anymore. Then you have to make another adjustment. The proper fix when they're this far out is just put new valves in, unfortunately. So that's what we're going to have to do with this one. So if I have to pull the cylinder head off to put new valves in, might as well put a new piston on it. And with these 250Fs, might as well put a new timing chain in it. So I'm going to get a timing chain ordered up, some new intake valves ordered up, and a new piston ordered up. I'm going to assume the cylinder is in good shape. If it's not, when I go to take it apart, it's bad, then I'll order another cylinder too. But for right now, I'm just going to assume it's in good shape. I just ordered a new piston, new timing chain, all the gaskets, and the intake valves. I'm not going to worry about the exhaust valves because I was able to slide a feeler's gauge underneath them. Now, of course, I'll be checking the actual adjustment later, but I was able to slide the feeler's gauge underneath them, which indicates to me that that they're basically okay. It's mainly just the intakes. I couldn't even get my smallest feeler's gauge underneath the intake, and it's usually the intake that causes that. If you're going to have this issue, it's usually the intake valve, and the reason is dirt, sand, filth. It's been able to get through the air filter, and it erodes the that coating on the valves but it only does on the intake valves. After the combustion fires that sand, for whatever reason, it doesn't affect the exhaust valves. It's common. I see this often where it's just the intake valves. The coating's worn away. They've gotten too tight because they're sitting too deep, or up tall, but deep into the cylinder head, and they're not sealing anymore. Put in new exhaust valve or intake valves, adjust it, and it's good to go again. So get a piston, gaskets, intake valves, and a new spark plug. Remember that spark plug is bad. Plus, we also have to do that fuel pump. In the link, I'm gonna do a top end on this, but I'm not gonna include this part in the video because I've already done a video on one of these 250Fs, these YZ250Fs from 2019 to 2023. So if you're looking to know how to do your top end, down in the description, there'll be a link to that video. And if you're curious how to do your fuel pump and you want a step-by-step walkthrough, down in the description will be a link to a video where I did a fuel pump on one of these bikes. The fuel pump video will be a different year than this one, but it's the same fuel pump, same steps, don't worry about it. I do highly advise, if you're going to get the fuel pump kit that comes with like the all balls or the quantum, also make sure you pick up a fuel pump regulator while you're in there. You're going to want both of them. The fuel pump regulators are known to go bad on these and cause the issue. The motor might actually be okay, but just go ahead and get a new motor, new fuel pump regulator. You can even just look on eBay, type in your year model bike and type in fuel pressure regulator. Fuel pressure regulator. You'll see they're only like 15-20 bucks. Get that and a all balls or quantum kit, and you can get your bike up and running for a reasonable price again on the fuel pump. Or you can just buy a whole new OEM fuel pump assembly. It's the whole thing. It'll come with the regulator in it, the motor, the whole housing, and everything. But they're pretty costly at just short of 400 bucks. Okay, so let me go in the house, order these parts up, and I'll be right back. And like a week later, I already pulled the top end off. Parts I ordered up was a OEM piston kit. We have some new intake valves here. I have some valves guide seals as well. A cylinder base gasket and the cylinder head gasket. The fuel pump regulator has come in, but I'm still waiting for the fuel pump motor to come in, but that's okay. I'm going to get to work on it ahead of time. I need to replace the valves, the intake valves in this. Like I pointed out, if you're looking to do a top end, there will be a link in the description on a full walkthrough on a top end on one of these YZ250Fs. That part I'm kind of leaving out of this video because I already have a video covering all that. But what I will cover in this video is how to change your valves. Because if you get dirt in the intake, you might have to change yours out. Like I pointed out, this was caused because there was no oil on the air filter. This is the top side of the air filter where the air comes in. Look at the back side of it. You can see all the clay in here. This should be clean. The back side, it should have never made it past the front side. Let me show you what the inside of the intake boot looks like. Here's the intake boot. See if I can get you in here pretty good. Look at this, all this dirt. Look at this. It's just raw dirt coming right through the air filter because there was no oil on the air filter. That's what happens. I can even see it in there forming on top of the valves. It's all up in the intake track. I mean, it just, yeah, let me show you the piston too. Taking a look at the piston here. Any scratches you see below the compression ring is usually transmission debris and trash that your transmission shed it off and just got up to the piston area. But anything above the compression ring, that's dirt that's gotten into the combustion chamber through the air filter. And you can see there's quite a few scratches going right here, right here. I mean, this piston's definitely been it's been sandblasted, so good thing we have a new piston. The cylinder looks fair enough. I mean, it has some visual marks going up and down, but I can't feel anything with my fingers, and there's no ridge or lip up top, so I'm gonna just clean this up with some Scotch-Brite and she'll be good to go. But let me go ahead and change these valves out. And if you watch a lot of my videos, you'll know that I have been known to use a C-clamp, and I take an old socket and I just cut it like that to change out valves, right? But I went ahead and purchased a real valve spring compressor. Just try it out. I've been doing it like this for years, no problem. Put that back in there, but let's give it a shot. Now, I've never used this tool before, so you know, have mercy on me. All right, let me get it all set up. Now, who knows? I might not even like this tool, but we won't know till we try. Okay, I have to get the keepers out that are up in there, so it's going to be hard to get all this on camera, but I'll try to show you step by step. So I have this tool all set up. This is just a Tusk brand from Rocky Mountain. I'm going to start with the top one here. What I did, they come with several inserts. Let me just show you in case you're trying this yourself. They come with several inserts. These are supposed to go on top of the valves, but I believe this one will go on the bottom, like right here, and hold that valve in place. And then this one, they have different sizes in the kit. This one looks like it's going to fit the retainer pretty well, so let's give it a shot. Let's see. Hopefully I don't have to break out the old trusty. Okay. So you'll see I have it on the valve right up in here, and on this side, hold on, right there. Let's give it a shot. Seems kind of dinky, this little piece right here, but hey, as long as it works good. That's working, it's compressing it. Let me pop it up here, maybe you can see it. Alright, the keepers look like they've already come loose. Let me stick a magnet. You'll need a magnet to do this, by the way. Alright, I got the two keepers here. There we go. Set these aside. Okay, now let me pull this out. Oops. So far, it's working good. Let's see when it's time to put the valve back in and the keepers back in. That's usually where things get a little bit more difficult, but so far so good, no complaints, except for dropping that. Look, that keeper fell. Let me pull this piece off of here. Let's just see if I did pick the right size one here. Let's put the keeper in. No, it's a little bit too big. Let me go get the next smaller one. Okay, let's try the next smaller one. I'll set this one down here. Yeah, the next smaller one's way too small. So I guess that's it. This is the one that we are to use for this one. Okay. So we got the two keepers right here. The valve spring retainer that we pulled off, and set it here. Oh, there went the exhaust gasket. Dropping everything, huh? Alright, valve spring. The valve springs, the painted side always faces upward. You see how you can see the pink right there? So when we go to install it, we need to make sure we put the painted side upward. One way to tell is if you look down here, you see the coil spring, how it stays at the same, like the same angle until it reaches the end. You notice down here that the coils start tightening up right here. So the bottom, they run coils tighter together at the very bottom, and the top they just keep them spread out. It's a lighter side of the spring. They do that because when the valve is moving up and down real quick, they want the lighter side up top. So it's very important to put the pink side upward, or you could end up with floating the valve. Don't want to do that. Okay, let's go ahead and slide this valve out. I'm just going to push it in like this. As I push it in, you'll see it comes out right here. Alright, let me show you. Let me set this aside. I'm going to show you the valve wear. Remember when I mentioned when valves are this far out that you need to adjust it to be able to start the bike up again? When they're that far out that it will not start up easily unless you need an adjustment, you really need to change the valves. And let me show you why. Okay, this is the brand new valve. This part right here is the part that the valve contacts the valve seat. This is where it's going to be sealing at when the valve's closed. Now you can see it's perfectly straight. It's nice and straight right here, this angle, and there's no wear. And it has the same color coating that the rest of this intake valve has. They put a hard coating on these titanium valves to keep them from wearing. Now I'm going to set this down and show you the old one. This, you can see how it's chewed this up and made it concave like. It's worn into it. And it's made it concave like, and you can see that it's more silver right here than it is the color of the coating that the valve has. It's a silver color. It's worn through the coating. If I get you close enough here, zoom in. Hold on, I'll try better. Let's try this again. Right here, it's back to the new valve. See, it's got a perfectly, this angle right here is the sealing surface. This one right here, that angle now has, if I can get it to focus, you can see it's worn in. It's not flat anymore going right here. It's now like concave. It's worn in. And we could adjust this valve back to spec. The bike will start, but it's only going to run for about a month or so, and it will need another valve adjustment. Even if no dirt ever makes it in again, it will need another valve adjustment, because once they wear past that coating, they do what they call running. The valve's running. It's constantly changing because it's constantly wearing in. So your valve adjustment changes as you run the bike. And yeah, a lot of shops make that mistake. This is one of them, that the bike was in the shop for a valve adjustment. I've spoken to the owners, and they said that when they purchased the bike, it came with a receipt from a motorcycle shop that just adjusted the valves. A lot of shops make that mistake. A lot do. And they just adjust them, send them out the door, and then they wonder why a month later they need another adjustment. It's because the real fix is they needed new valves. So yeah, let's put them in. Alright, before I even get started, let me go ahead and clean the valve seat up in here. We still have to change the valve seal out, but I need to clean out the port. There's just dirt everywhere that's been getting there. So let me go ahead and clean the valve seat first. And that way when I go to clean it up, I'll be cleaning all that mess up. Now to clean the valve seat here, you don't want to use sandpaper or anything like that, because we're expecting metal to seal on metal. Titanium is going to be sealing on a metal valve seat. So all I'm doing is using very fine steel wool, the finest that you can buy. I think it's like 0000, and you just work it around the valve seat area. All we're looking to do here is just clean the carbon off. Really, that's it. Usually there's no reason to lap a valve. As long as it seals, we'll put a new valve in, we'll check, make sure it seals. As long as it seals, we won't be lapping them. And if we do have to lap it, if you have to lap a valve, use the old valve to lap it and then put the new valve in, because you don't want to wear off that coating. When you go to lap a valve, if you use the new valve, it will wear off that coating. You don't want to do that. Let me go clean this head. I'll be right back. Okie dokie. Let me grab the valve guide seal. This pair of needle nose, you yank it on out of there like a tooth. There it is. Another tip is, if you're reinstalling some used valves that are in good shape but they're just used and you want to clean the carbon off, is put the valve under there so you can spin it real quick. There we go. And then take your same very fine steel wool. I'm not going to do it this one because it's brand new, but use your very fine steel wool as it's spinning to clean the valve. That'll clean it well without wearing off the coating and without scratching the sealing surface. Alright, so the gloves come off for this part of the job here. because I like to feel for any grit or anything. I'm going to check this again, make sure there's no sand stuck to it with my bare finger here. No sand, dust, or anything, because we need it to seal good on the first try. Okay, now I'm going to take the valve here, do the same thing, make sure there's no dust or sand on the sealing surface. Slide it on in. Alright. Oh shoot. Okay, we got new valve seals here, valve guide seals. We need to pop them in place. Let me go get a socket. Here we go. I'll use an 8mm deep well socket, and that's going to help push the valve seal on, valve guide seal. So let me slide it over the valve. Here we go. And the valve will just kind of hold it centered for us. There it is. Alright. Flip the head back around this way. Take the valve spring. Remember, the painted side goes upward. Pop the valve spring in there. A little bit of grease on this. What I'll do is hold it on the spring for us. Keep it from just falling off. There we go. Okay, now we have to compress it. Alright, let's try this new tool out here. See if I give it a pass or a fail. So far, it's doing good so far. Make sure it's on the valve on this end. Okay. Let's go ahead and compress it down. At least far enough to get the keepers on. I think that's going to be good. Okay, I think I have it at a good angle. You might be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my flat head that has a little bit of a magnetic property to it, stick some grease on it. Oops, there it is. Woo! It's okay. If I drop this and lose it, I got more. But yeah, I put some grease inside of there, the keeper, so it holds it on. Now let's try to fish the first keeper. Sorry about that. I had to answer a phone call. Alright, let's see if I have it down far enough, or if I have to compress a little bit more. Yeah, I think I gotta compress it a little bit more. Let's do it. Alright, let's try that. Oh, fell right off of there, didn't it? Let's try it again. Alright, give it another shot here. Got that side on. Let me try to rotate it to the other side. That'll be good enough. I can put the other one right there. Alright. Grease up the other one here. That should work. Wipe the grease off my fingers. Alright. Let's see. Booyah. Okay. Let's try closing it. You know, that's my only complaint about this little tool, is this thing does not stay put. Let's try here. Well, it's trying to knock the keepers out. Let me pop them back in their seat. Got that one back in. Let me get the other one back in. Alright, I'm going to try it again. I got them back in their seat. I'm going to take my time this time. I need to watch it. That's what I need to do. Take my time. I've learned with this tool, you got to keep that this piece right here from spinning, because when it spins, that's why I got my thumb on it right here. That's what seemed to have knocked the keepers out. I think we're good. Let's get the tool out of the way, and let's blow the grease out of the way and see how it looks. Okay. Hold your ears. All right. Yeah, they're looking like they're in good shape, but the real test is the water. Okay, the water test. I'm going to put a little bit of water on top of the intake valve that we just replaced in the directly in intake port here, and then, oh, let me hold it up like this, and then I'm waiting to see if some water forms over here. I don't know if you see it right there. It's just starting to dribble a little bit. To be safe, I'm going to lap this valve. So let me pull this valve back out real quick and we'll lap it. Okie dokie, I pulled the valve back out. Again, we're going to use the old valve to lap. We're not going to mess up the new valve. Set the new valve aside. Get the old valve. Use some valve grinding compound or valve lapping compound, whatever you want to call this junk. And just put a little bit on the lip of the valve here. Say it again. Use the old valve, not the new one. As long as it's straight, that is. If you have a bent valve, don't use it. Slide it back in. Flip it around this way. Now what I did is you can use either a drill bit, or I just found this metal little hole right here, but you can even use a drill bit. Take a piece of vacuum line, rubber tubing that will fit over the valve snugly and over your drill bit or whatever you're using. Put that over the valve, and that's going to allow us to spin the valve with a cordless drill. Alright, let me set it up where you can see it here. There you go. Hear it? Oh, it slipped off. There you go. I'm going to use my thumb to do the pressing. Alright, that hose was slipping too much, rubber hose. I used a longer one that fits a little tighter. So. You put a little more rubbing compound on it, or valve lapping compound. There we go. Alright, let's do it again. You can hear when I... Whoop, it's getting twisted. Yeah, I don't have to use my finger. This one's fighting tight. So you just push it in and out. You'll hear it grind when I push it in. Alright. Let's pop that old valve out of there. Set that aside. Now you have to get that stuff cleaned out real good, all the lapping compound. You don't want to leave any of that in there. Don't get any of that in your valve guide. If you do, make sure you blow it out and clean it out. Alright, let me go get this all cleaned up and we'll pop in the new valve. And alright, I have that valve seat all cleaned up. Let me pop in the new valve again and let's see if it seals. I'll be right back. Okay, time to give it the water test again. We're looking over here on this side. Looks like she's going to be good. I don't see any water dripping out of her. Sweet! That's good. Let me dump out the water here. I'm going to spray some WD-40 in that port and blow that out. But I also have the other valve to do. I'm going to do that off camera and I'll be right back. Okay, the second valve's in and that one sealed good. I lapped it. I just went ahead and lapped it right from the get-go. If I had to lap the first one, I'm going to lap the second one just to save me an extra step. And, well, the kit worked okay. It's not bad, you know. It might be a little easier than the makeshift one that I made, but both work just as well. They got it done. Pop the cams in and adjust the valves here. I'm going to use the shims that were originally in it to start with. Just get an idea where we're at. I expect these to be way too loose now since someone has already adjusted them once to the bad valve. So well, let me flip that one over. But that's okay. It'll give us an idea where we're at. Oh, got that one a little lopsided there. There we go. Put the exhaust in here. Alright. The intake cam is always a cam that does not have the auto decompression on it. The exhaust cam will have the auto decompression on it. Now I'm just checking the clearance, so I'm not gonna spend the time putting these little things back in. All I have to do is all I have to do is just, you can see that it kind of leaves a witness mark right here where that has been. I just line it up to the witness marks and put the caps on. Because all we're doing is just checking the clearance, so we don't need them in really. Okay, here are the valve specs for this motor. We're going to start with the intake. It says 47,000 to 75,000. So we're going to say 5 to 7 is going to be fine. Alright, let me break out my feelers gauge. I figure they're going to be too loose, so let me start with a 7. 7 goes in easy breezy. I bet they're way too loose. Let's try a 10, because again, these have already been adjusted to the bad valve. Yeah, I can fit the 10 in there too. These are just way too loose. We know we got to tighten them up. Let's go ahead and check the intake here. Get back to my phone. I'm sorry, check the exhaust. 67,000 to 94,000. So yeah, let's say 7 to 9. So let's start with the 9, see if we can get a 9 in there. There's a 9. Barely. You can hardly get it out, which is good. That means that's good. Yeah. Okay, let's check the 8. Usually the exhaust stays put for the most part. Okay, I can get the 8 in there. Still a little bit of friction. 8, no problem over here. I'm going to say these are good. I mean, I was able to get the 9 in there, but honestly, I forced my way in there. But 8 seems to go in them both nice and easily. So, I'm going to say it's good. I'm going to check it one more time with the 9 over here just to be safe. I'm going to hit it from this angle. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll go up just a hair on that one. I can't get 9 in there at all, so we'll make this one a little tighter. We might as well. We're already here. Because I can't, even though there's a little bit of friction in it, I can get the feelers gauge in there. So let me put a plus mark right here. And then these two clearly need to go with a bigger shim. Alright. Pull the cam caps back off. Yeah, come on. And pull. We'll start with the intake. Actually, let me start with the exhaust. That's the one that needs the least amount. Pull that out. Get the shim out of there. Okay, let's measure this one. See what it measures. 191. Okay. 194. We're just going to go a little bit with this one. It only needs to be a little bit tighter. That's this one. Okay, let's do the intake now. $165, $164. Okay. I'm gonna go 191 with this one. Going pretty far and pretty extreme because I already know that someone has already gone extreme to get this thing to run. I ain't gonna measure the other side. There we go, 191. Just gonna make it even. We'll check it and see if we have to make any further adjustments. Again, I'm going pretty extreme with this one because I know someone went real extreme just getting it. The last shop that worked on it, just getting the valves and specs so the bike would run, but they were doing it on old valves, which means they had to use a really small shim in order to achieve that. Alright, let me button this up and we'll test it, or we'll check it. Alright, let's test that. Check that exhaust first. I'm going to try with the 9 again. Can't get the 9 in there now. Let's see what the 8 does. Okay, I can get the 8 in with friction. I get the 8 in over here with some friction too. Alright. As long as 7 goes in both of them freely, we're going to be good. Nice and free. Nice and free. Exhaust is good. Because remember the specs for the exhaust are basically rounding it up 7 and rounding it down to 9. 7 to 9,000. So we got it at 7. Or I mean at 8. 7 goes in freely. 8 has a little bit of friction. How about the intake? Let's see. This one I'm going to expect to have to do more. This was just a guess. I just tossed it in there. Alright, we're going to start with the 7 thousandths. Where the heck is it now? There it is. Oh, 7 goes in with a little bit of friction. It goes in with this one with a lot of friction. We're actually really close. 7. Let me try the 6. I know I wouldn't be able to get 8 in there. Let's see. Yeah, actually they are in spec. I can't get an 8 in, but I can get a 7 in with friction. You can see the max is 75 thousandths. I can get a 7 in with quite a bit of friction. So yeah, it's basically it's going to be a 6. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it right there. That's good. They're basically a 6. Cause see, I can get the 6 in. I can go to 75 thousandths, but let's try the 7. I don't have a 75 thousandths. It goes from 7 to 8. So let's try the 7 again. You get. Oh wait, hold on. That went in pretty easy that time. That one still has quite a bit of friction. Let's bring these both a little bit tighter, just a click. I'll be right back. Let me do that. Remember, these are 191. Okay, let me pop the cams back in it. I put in ever so slightly. I went from 191 to 193 on both of them. Let's see. I think that'll do it. Alright. See where we're at. I'll start with the 7 again. And work my way down to the 6 and then to the 5. Ugh. Now 7 goes in with a lot of friction on that one. Can't get it in at all on this one. Let me try this one again. Yeah. Ugh, you can hardly get it in. It's like I'm forcing it in, which means I'm actually cracking the valve open. Alright, let me try 6. Nice and easy breezy. Nice and easy breezy. And obviously a 5 is going to go good. So these are adjusted at 6. I'm going to consider this good. All the valves are in check. Let me see. Okay, so the cylinder head's good and ready to go with the new valves in. The valves are sealed good. Let me go ahead and start working on getting this whole top end together. We still have the fuel pump to do as soon as that motor arrives, but let me keep moving. Alright, a few days later and the fuel pump rebuild kit has arrived. I have the top end together. She's about ready to test fire as soon as I get that fuel pump taken care of. For this one, we're going with the Quantum kit. Again, there'll be several links in the description, but one of the links will be to how to rebuild your fuel pump. It'll be a step-by-step. I have two fuel pressure regulators, one that came with the kit plus the extra one I ordered. Yeah, down in the description will be a link with the step-by-step. On this one, I won't be doing a step-by-step. There's the new motor right there. I'm just going to kind of blast through it. Let me go ahead and drain all the gas out of the tank, because I believe this bike's been sitting for a while, and that's what caused these issues. Let me smell it. Oh yeah, that feels old. That's what caused that fuel pump. I bet we're even going to find maybe a little bit of rust on the fuel pump motor. Who knows? Let me dump the gas out and get this motor out. Let's see what it looks like. Let's pop this thing out and see what it looks like. Huh. Looks like that thing's not sticking on there anymore. Might need to replace that little locking ring there on the impact. But anyway. First thing I want to do, before I get a brain fart, mark on the tank which side this thing sticks out. Sometimes they only go on one way, sometimes they don't. You gotta kind of wiggle it out and just, there we go. Actually, I'm not finding any rust on it. Oh, I definitely see corrosion up in the field. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. There's corrosion up in the, oh yeah. Let me pop that out. We might, in all honesty, we probably could have only replaced the fuel pressure regulator and been fine. Just 'cause, yeah, look how cruddy and crusty. Look at this junk. You see it? Yeah, she's just crusty. Alright. Beavis! Beavis! Yeah. Hey, we're making a video. You can eat my old sandwich. That's fine. But be quiet, I'm making a video. So since I see that mainly it looks like the fuel pressure regulator is just really bummed up. Before I replace the motor, let me just see if the motor's still good, because if we can retain the OEM motor, we'll just save this Quantum motor for if we ever need it in the future. So let me take this and clean it up. So before I go ahead and change the motor out, the reason I bought a fuel pressure regulator and the kit that came with the fuel pressure regulator is because it might actually just be only a bad fuel pressure regulator. And if that's the case, I'll just either save this Quantum kit for a future job or return it for a refund. But let's pop this bad boy in. We're going to test it. Alright, let's put the fuel pump back in. Remember, it stuck out that way. I'm going to use a little bit of blue Loctite on these. I'm going for it as if this is going to fix the problem. I'm going for it like I'm not going to have to go back in here. So let's see. I'm sorry, not Loctite, thread locker. I actually ordered up some stuck nuts. I had some of that coming, and I contacted the company. They were nice enough to actually send me I only ordered the red. They're nice enough to send me the blue to try out as well. So that's pretty good. I'm excited. I'm waiting for that stuff to arrive. And I'm trying to not use that word anymore. The block tight word. You know, because they're trying to block people from riding in certain riding areas. I'm trying not to use that word anymore. You know, it's kind of like, you know, we always have, like, we call every soft drink a Coke. kind of like that, but I'm trying to get that word out of my vocabulary. So, all right, I need to tighten this up, put some gas in here, and let's see what happens. Guys, we are right on. I just tested it, and it is hanging. The pressure is hanging at 40. You can see it's slowly dropping. Watch this. I'll hit the start button, and it'll jump to 50. Watch. See, it goes to 50. Remember I mentioned they should be about 50 psi, and it shouldn't drop instantly. It should drop very, very slowly like this is doing. That's real important, especially if you have a kickstarting bike. If it's like the 14 to 17 that are kickstart, you need it to hold field pressure in between each kick, or they can be a bear to start. So again, the kickstart ones and these electric start ones, they have the same field pump motor and the same parts. And if it doesn't hold pressure, you're going to have to kick really fast for it to hang the pressure pretty well for it to actually start up. You can see this is holding pressure real well right at 40. And when I hit the button, it goes right up to 50. That is spot on. We didn't have to replace the motor. We only had to replace the field pressure regulator. And like I said, I'm either going to return this all balls kit or keep it on the shelf for a future job. I'll figure it out. But now let me go and hook up the fuel line. And let's give it a test fire. Okay, gonna give it a test fire. Remember, she has new intake valves, a new piston. He actually chose to, I forgot to mention this, he chose to opt out on the timing chain. That's why I didn't show the timing chain being put in. He's just trying to save a little bit of money, I get it. And he chose to opt out on the timing chain. So that's why I didn't include that in this video. But anyway, it does have a brand new piston, brand new intake valves. They're adjusted in, and the fuel pump, fuel pressure regulator, new fuel pressure regulator. I have the air filter being cleaned right now. There's no air filter on it, but that's okay. We're just test firing it. It might take a little bit to start up on the first try because a lot of that old gas might still be in the fuel line, not to mention air that was in the fuel line because we had the fuel line disconnected. Let's see. And hopefully it fires up. Hopefully, sometimes when they sit a long time like this, even the fuel injector can get clogged up. Sometimes you can back flush them to clean them out and get them working again. I'm hoping that's not the case with this one. I'm hoping it's just a bad fuel pressure regulator. Let's see. Turn the choke on. Booyah! Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sweet! Okay, let's give her another test fire. Barks right off. She is good. Telling you, it does not matter how many of these you do. Hearing that first fire is a good feeling, I'm telling you. Especially when you have so much invested in it. You just, so much time and energy, and you just want to know that the job turned out good. That first fire is a great feeling. I've been doing this for a lot of years, and it still has my adrenaline pumping when I hear that first fire and everything turns out good. Okay, what do I need to do? Well, obviously I need to get all the plastic back on. I need to get the tank bolted down. I need to overlook my work one more time, go through it, and then we have to run it through some heat cycles because we have a brand new piston in there, and I want to make sure everything's sealed up good, no water leaks or anything like that. So let me button up everything and we'll run it through some heat cycles. Okie dokie, it's heat cycle time. I already filled her up with coolant. I checked the motor oil. It looks nice and clean and up to level. So let me go ahead and start her up and just let her warm up. Checking for water leaks and stuff like that. Oh, we need to choke. So I'm finding that someone has the idle adjusted with the choke on. Because the idle's fine when the choke's on. The minute I shut it off, it just idles too low. No problem. It's easy to fix. Let's just turn the idle up a little bit. There's a little idle adjustment screw right here, and you can just turn it by hand. The choke is right here, or high idle, cold start, whatever you want to call it. On this bike, you actually push it in to activate it, and you pull it out to shut it off. So I'm going to go ahead and start it back up, and just go ahead and adjust that out. But I'll tell you what, this thing had multiple problems. But that's what happens when other people work on them first before you do, and everyone's trying to figure out what's wrong with it, and then they bring it to you, and if they couldn't figure it out, you can pretty much bet they probably messed up a lot of stuff trying to figure it out, and then you have to go through all the stuff that they messed up. It's just how it goes. Alright, I'll turn the choke on and start it up, get it idle pretty high, then I'll shut the choke off and start adjusting the idle. There it is, it's doing good. Okay, I'm just going to sit here and let it idle for a little bit and warm up, and I'll be right back. Only at about 120 degrees right now. Let me give her a little bit longer. Okay, she's creeping up to the 165 range, so let's go ahead and start looking around there for leaks. Alright, I'm checking around the head gasket area here. Back here. Everything's looking good. I'm going to check around the cylinder base gasket. Good. This side's looking good. Okay. Got my tool. Alright. Let's check right here. Make sure there's no leak popping up in here. Up here. Looking good. Back up in there. Alright. And the head gasket area. Checking all the hoses. Everything's looking good. Let's see how hot I got it. Alright, got a max temperature right here. 182, so she's at 180 degrees basically. Give her one more minute and I'll shut her down. Alright. She's sounding great. Alright, gonna let her cool down for about 15 minutes, give her another heat cycle. And you guys know the routine by now. 3 heat cycles, let it cool down 15 minutes in between each heat cycle. A heat cycle is where you let it run on the stand until it gets fully warm. Fully warm for me is about 180 to 190 degrees or so on these radiators. I at least want to get it to 180 degrees. If you don't have one of the little fancy dancy things to tell you how hot it is, you can just feel the radiator. When it starts to burn your fingers when you touch it, you can pretty much bet it's warm enough. You don't want to run it so hot that it starts overflowing and puking coolant, because at that point you've overheated it. You don't want to do that. And then you let it cool off for 15 minutes and run it through another heat cycle. Now these 4-strokes get pretty hot pretty quick. I probably only had this thing running here for about 4 or 5 minutes, and it was at up to temperature. You don't let them run very long in the stand. They don't have cooling fans like a car does, shoving air through the radiators. They expect the air to get shoved through the radiator from you actually riding the bike. So they will overheat quick if you just let them sit there and idle for too long. After 3 heat cycles, you take it out to wherever you ride. Make the first ride a shorter and an easier ride, about 8 to 10 minutes long. Avoid sustained full throttles. It's okay to use full throttle for short bursts, like getting over a jump or anything like that. You just want to avoid sustained full throttle where you're just going for a long time. Make it a shorter ride, 8 to 10 minutes. Come back in, check all your fluids one more time. Make sure no oil leaks or coolant leaks have popped up. And if everything's good, you can give her all the beans. Let her cool down. We'll run it through one more heat cycle. Be right back. Okay, let's run it through another heat cycle. Fires up good now with no choke, no nothing. Goes right to its idle. Alright, let me warm her up a little bit. I'll pause the camera and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to check for leaks again. Same place as the last time. Looking good on this side. Everything's looking good on this side. I think she is good to go. So now that I brought this one back to life, here's what I'm going to guess happened. Alright. I'm going to guess the original owner of this bike, because I talked to the owner of this bike, they said they never even touched, the current owner said they have never even touched the air filter on it. They only got about a month of riding out of it, and then all of a sudden wouldn't start up. And they had a receipt showing that the previous owner had the valves adjusted from a motorcycle shop. So here's what I'm going to guess. The original owner put that air filter in there, never even oiled it. Rode it around until dirt got up in the motor, wiped out the intake valves, took it to a shop. They adjusted the valves, sent it back out. It was running. He sold the bike to the current owners. The current owners went, rode it, and a month later, the valves were out of adjustment again. It wouldn't start. They let it sit for a while, and that's what caused the fuel pressure regulator to go bad. So, yeah, I think that's all it was. And of course we had the broken spark plug as well. I don't know where that fit into the equation, probably from the previous mechanic over tightening or whatever, because as you saw, it didn't break on me very easily. I'm sorry, it broke on me very easily. So I think that's where that came about. But all's well that ends well. Brand new piston, brand new intake valves, adjusted valves, brand new fuel pressure regulator, and brand new spark plug, and she is ready to go. I would have liked to do a timing chain too, but you know, it's their bike, it's not mine. They didn't want to do it, and that's fine. So that's pretty much a wrap in this one, but don't go anywhere yet. Want to show you this real quick. Remember all these V-Force reeds, Boyson rad valves? I have a ton of V-Force reeds, Boyson rad valves. I think I more than... Anyway, I have these right here. Check these out. Let me walk you over here and show you these. These are the new ones. These are the new ones for the YZ250 two-stroke, and if the weather permits, it's raining right now, but if it dries up good enough by Sunday, I'm going to review these, the V-Force 4X, on my YZ250 two-stroke. If I don't get it in this weekend, it'll be in next weekend. I'm hoping to fit it in this weekend. I'm hoping the weather cooperates with us. I'm going to be comparing them to the V-Force 3. As you know, I've already compared the stock reeds on this YZ250 to the Boyson rad valve and the V-Force 3s. I preferred the 3s myself on that shootout of all the reed systems, but now we have this new one here, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be really cool. And if the weather permits, I will be doing that review at 74MX on Sunday. I hope all you guys have a great weekend of riding. I'm hoping I can get out there to ride this weekend on Sunday and do that reed review. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these new reeds perform. And I hope all you guys have a great weekend of riding. I really appreciate every single one of you guys, all my subscribers, all my viewers. It means a lot to me that you actually sit through these videos and watch them. It's awesome. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great weekend. Catch you next time.